Hello everyone and welcome to what I'm calling Manga Mondays. I wanted to start this series because I feel like I wanted an outlet. Well, mostly because I wanted an outlet to just talk about some of the cool manga that I'm reading, and also because I kind of wanted to spotlight this particular genre within, I'm going to call it the reading community. Among people who read, I feel like there are some genres that are looked down upon, or some genres that aren't as accepted as others, and manga is one of those in my experience. I think there's kind of a stigma associated to liking it. You don't really want to admit it, and I completely fall into these categories. This is a genre that I do not talk about at work. This is not something I mention, and I think it's kind of a shame because just like many other genres, there's a lot of interesting, good stuff within this genre. And yes, like many other genres, there's a lot of stuff that I think is just trash in the genre. But I wanted to just create an outlet for me to talk about some of the stuff that I'm reading and kind of make it acceptable to say, hey guys, this is what I read, along with many other genres. And it's an acceptable part of reading. They completely count as books, and there should be no shame in talking about what we're reading that is manga, including, well, not including, I was saying including stuff that isn't manga, but as well as stuff that isn't manga. So I'm just going to take a little time each Monday to talk about some of the stuff that I've been reading recently, and feel free to share suggestions. This is a genre that I'm really looking for suggestions in, just because, as I mentioned before, because it's not, or at least I perceive it as a little less socially acceptable to talk about. I don't talk about it as much, and therefore I don't receive as many recommendations from other people. So if you have any suggestions for what I should read, by all means please comment them and I will get to them as soon as possible. A couple notes to throw in here. I've been reading manga since about high school, but remember that I did not read throughout my college years for a variety of reasons. So I am not an expert in this genre at all. I know there are many other people who know a lot more of the details, a lot more of the different, I'll call them subgenres. And I guess manga isn't a genre, it's more of a type of book, but I'm lumping them all together for this purpose. Um, so yeah, and in manga, I'm very particular in the things that I do like. So within I'm going to continue to use the word genre, but within manga, I do enjoy more of a slice of life, and I like romantic sometimes too, but I don't like anything that is explicit or graphic, anything that might fall more towards the more adult end of the spectrum of topics, which is interesting because I don't mind those topics in print books, books, books that books that don't look like this, basically. Uh, I don't mind those topics in, but I find that I really don't like those topics in manga. So if you do have a suggestion and maybe it involves a more mature topic, it might not be an immediate hit for me, but I will definitely welcome the suggestion and at least give one volume a shot and see what I think about it. So that's just some basic facts about me and how I read manga. So this week I want to talk about a series that I've been reading for the last month about-ish, and I've made it pretty far, so I'm just going to recap to where I've read now so I can kind of talk about the series thus far. So the series that I'm reading, and I'm going to show you volume 9 because that's all I have, well, it's the earliest one I have on hand right now. And the one I'm reading right now is called No Matter How You Guys Look at It, It's You Guys' Fault, I'm Not Popular. And I am loving this series. I am eating it up. I saw this in my public library about a year and a half ago, and okay, so my public library only had volume 9, so I knew I was going to have to place holds on it to get volumes 1 through 8 so I could read it. And it looked interesting, and it definitely wasn't what I guess I also had an idea on what it was going to be about, and I just put it off. But recently, about a month and a half ago, I want to say, very recently I actually started reading the series from volume 1, obviously, to volume 9 to see what I thought about it, and I love it. Love it. The basic premise of the book is there's this girl, I believe her name is Tomoko, and she's a Japanese high school girl, high school student. She has the idea that she's going to become very popular in high school, despite having a so-so middle school, which, let's be honest, everyone had a so-so middle school. If you had a good middle school, let me know, because I don't think I've met anyone who had a good middle school. But she had a so-so middle school, like a lot of people, and so she's going into high school with this idea that this is her time. She's going to be popular, she's going to do all these cliches while she's in high school, and when she gets there, she discovers that it's a little trickier than she thought it was going to be. She is very much into erotic gaming. That's one of her things, but I must say it's not very, they mention it and they don't hide that, but there's not a lot of graphic visuals to go along with that. Additionally, she's very socially awkward. She's very quiet, and as a result of her personality, she gets excluded from her class. Not maybe intentionally, but just people aren't reaching out to become friends with her, and high school isn't really playing out the way she thought it was going to. I have to say, when you first see this premise, I think it's very easy to think that it's going to be weird. And not weird by uncomfortable, but just like, is this really stuff I want to see? Is this going to be like kind of exploitative to high school girls? Because I'm not comfortable reading that stuff at all. Absolutely not going to read it. And it's really not. It's actually really, 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 really awkward. If I have to cringe and put the book down because of how awkward it is, that's a really good job of conveying the social awkwardness through the book on the page to me. If I have to put the book down, you've done an A+ job. And I might hate it in the moment, but that is a good job. So to kind of complicate the matters, at least through the first couple volumes, I think through like volume 8, the big players are her, and then she has a little cousin who comes to visit every summer, and she's trying to impress the little cousin by how grown up or how mature she is. And then she also has a friend from middle school who wound up going to another high school, and she's trying to pretend like she has more of a social presence than she does because she perceives her friend as being more mature, more worldly than her. I say worldly, just like more experienced with boys or having a better social life than she is. A lot of the common worries because people have in high school, the comparison to one another. And I believe in those early volumes we're also introduced to another person that she associated with in middle school, but she actually wound up kind of inadvertently embarrassing this other girl in middle school. And Tomoko, the main character, doesn't really remember that. But she meets this other girl from middle school in the library. So it's kind of just all these weird interactions. And you have to remember, for the first couple volumes, she doesn't have a lot of friends. And that is made very abundantly clear with the fact that she barely interacts with anyone outside these people, maybe her teacher and her parents and little brother at home. So that's kind of the first, let's say, 8 volumes of this series. And I have to say, too, that typically when I would look at this sort of plot, I would say, oh, and she's going to be secretly super attractive, and all the guys are going to be into her mysteriously. Oh no, she just doesn't realize it. She's so pretty. Everyone's actually her friend. But no, it is very good, but it is sometimes painful how little social interaction there is and how she just keeps socially messing up. It's a very good, accurate, spot-on description of, I'm going to guess, social anxiety. I think that probably plays a little bit into it, social awkwardness, and just what it's like to be a high school girl. I think sometimes, and this is both a stereotype of the genre and I've also seen it, manga tries to play up like the high school girl experience. You girls out there who are who went to high school, it's not always like that. This is a little more accurate for some people, so I really, really appreciated this. I have to say, though, it is kind of painful to pick up volume after volume after volume where just nothing seems to be going right for Tomoko. However, things start to turn around in this volume that I'm holding here, volume 9, ironically, the one that my library owned. It's class trip time. the classic for high school manga. Class trip time, and this teacher, I believe it's her homeroom teacher, has this idea that Tomoko needs to be socializing, which she does. And so she's like pushing her to socialize, and I don't remember if the homeroom teacher assigns her or if it's just kind of like the leftover girls in the class, the other people who aren't really associated with anybody. And they all get put in a group together. There's I don't remember I think they call her, she's an outcast, but by choice. I'm drawing a blank on the word right now. There's a, yes, so we have this outcast group, and then one, I'm going to say popular, or not even popular, just one normal, that also sounds cruel. A girl who has another friend group gets assigned to that group just because the groups have to be equal, but she has no intention of hanging out with those people, and she like bails every time they go. So this is class trip, and this is where things start to turn around for Tomoko. So if you're reading this series and you're on volume 5 and you're like, this is miserable, hang in there, things get better. And it's not like, and I appreciate this, it's not an immediate turnaround. It's not like, yay, everyone's my friend, everything's perfect at the end, haha, now it's fun. No, it's a slow turnaround. So basically in this one, they go on the class trip, and she actually starts to have these little moments with people. And it's nothing big, it's nothing like, oh my gosh, we're best friends now. It's just little things that start to turn around. And these little things that start to turn around, these little things that start to turn around in these little interactions with the people is almost a more accurate description of how friendships build in real life. We start little and then we kind of build big. So this, I loved it. And I want to say so these were all variety. I might have given one like a 3-star, probably because it made me feel so bad for Tomoko. That's kind of the thing, you feel really bad for her, and you want you to the point where the authors make you want to see her succeed, and they keep taking that prize away from you for so long that sometimes it's painful. That's probably, I want to say I rated one 3-star, that's probably why I rated it 3 stars. It's like, oh, so much it just keeps not working out for her. Things start to work out. And right around here, things started becoming 5-star volumes. And I'm very picky about my 5 stars. Most really good books will get a 4-star from me. 5-star. 5-star. When things start to work out in a natural, believable way where you have wanted this for so long and it's finally happening for the character, and you can see her having these experiences and how meaningful they are. A+. A+. Oh, yes! I'm cheering for her so much. And after this class trip, she now has a basis to connect with other people on. And now she's starting to make those connections. She's starting to see people. She agrees to go to a class party a few volumes later, which was like a big thing that she did not do a long time, or in an earlier volume. She chose to not go to the, I want to say maybe it was the end of year class party. I knew she hadn't gone last year, but then she did go this year, and I'm thinking, because I'm trying to remember, they go to Disneyland, they don't call it Disneyland, they call it like Houseland or something because of copyright issues. They go to Disneyland, and I don't know if that's on the class trip or that's a couple volumes after this, and she's just hanging out with people, and she's having a good time, and slowly people start to gravitate towards her, and she has a little group, and they talk about, or in Disneyland, the one girl from the class trip who had a group of friends but got assigned to the outcast group and just kept ditching, actually realized that she wanted to hang out with this weird girl from class. So things turned around after this point, and I am loving the series. I'm not completely through. The last one I read was volume 13. I'm saying that because this week I have volume 14, 15, and 16 to read. Now, I do not know how many volumes are in this series. Maybe at least 17. I think there's at least one more, and I don't know if that one is the last one. I think it might be ongoing. But I'm loving where this is going. I want to see how this plays out, and I would highly recommend it. I would say the biggest thing to get over with this is well, two things. I feel like at first glance, you might think this is kind of weirdly exploitative towards high school girls, especially just reading the back of the cover. I personally didn't feel that way. Now, if you take that away, that's valid. Maybe you have a different perspective on it. I, as a woman, did not feel like this was weirdly exploitative towards women or like underage girls or anything like that. Not at all, which I have to say was a huge concern of mine when I read the back of this book. Because remember, I had seen volume 9, I placed a hold on volume 1, then I read the back of volume 1 and I was like, excuse me, what? And then I read not only the back, but I like started reading it and I was like, what sort of manga did I just pick up? Because like I said, I don't like any more mature themes in my manga for whatever reason. But yes, that's the first thing I think you have to get over. The second thing is probably those 5, 6, 7, 8 volumes at the beginning where nothing seems to be going right and it is so awkward and hard to read, but also in a way surprisingly comforting. And it makes you really want to root for the main character and you want to see her succeed. So this is the reading that I plan to do this week. Well, not all the reading I plan to do this week. This is the manga that I plan to read this week. Let me show you the spines. I have to say I actually really like the cover. Well, the sunlight's washed them out. That's cool. Okay, this is what I get for using a bad camera. I'm going to read these 3 this week. This is probably just going to be one evening full of reading because I binged this stuff hard. I have stayed up way too late, way too many nights reading this. Anyways, if anyone has read this series, has thoughts on the series, has recommendations based on this series, please let me know because I am loving this. This is very enjoyable and I highly recommend. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you've read this or let me know if you have any other suggestions of manga I should read because I'm always looking for suggestions. This is a genre I really want to get back into exploring and I really want to read a wide variety of. So feel free to share. Anyways, thank you and have a great day.